Yes, that is right. You could not hear me. Can you hear me now? Okay, so welcome. You should be able to hear me now. I didn't have my audio on. Thank you. Good morning. Okay, so can you guys hear me? If you can, go ahead and type that into the chat box for me. Okay, very good. We're supposed to have a couple of guests, so as soon as they arrive, we'll be including them in as well. Very good. All right, so what are we talking about today? I'm also going to be interacting with you along with my guests, and we'll be answering at least some of your questions related to relaxing. So what I'd like to do today is share with you basically 5 ways that you can relax. Now, why is it important that we talk about relaxing? Give me just a second. I want to go ahead and, yeah. So for many of you, not for all of us and not all the time, but for many people, they find that when they are more relaxed, they speak better. Okay. Now, this doesn't mean that if you're totally relaxed, that you're not going to get stuck from time to time. But more times than not, when you're more relaxed, you're able to remember the things that you need to do. You're able to remember what you want to talk about. You don't feel as anxious or as nervous, and you tend to speak better when you're more relaxed. And so we're going to be giving you 5 ways that you can relax. All right, I'm just going to be keeping an eye on the chat here and making sure that I can look at some of your questions, and also when we have our guests arrive, we'll bring that in. So let's just go ahead and get started. The first thing that I want you to know is that relaxing is a habit. Okay, so let's put that down here. Relaxing is a habit. One of the things that Dr. Vinya, who's supposed to be joining us today, if she's able, one of the things that she will tell you is that relaxing and learning to be relaxed is probably one of the things that's helped her the most. So when you are going through the Pro 90D Smooth Speech System, you not only learn how to relax when you're speaking, but you learn how to become a more relaxed person. So that means that relaxing and being a relaxed person is something that affects every other area of your life, right? And every other area of your life also affects your speech. Okay. So becoming a more relaxed person is something that you can do. It's something that you can learn. It's something that you can develop because it's a habit. So then the question is, how do you become a more relaxed person? What are the things that you need to do? So before we get to that, let's just talk about a few things. For example, if someone says, okay, just relax or just calm down, you may find that difficult to do. Or someone says slow down, right? You may find that difficult to do. So in Pro 90D, we don't just say relax, or we don't just say slow down. We actually show you how. But here's the key. Here's the thing that you have to remember. It's not just something you can tell yourself to do once. It's not just something that you can do once. It's something that you have to do consistently, repeatedly, right? It's a habit that you can develop. So Dr. Vinya's here. Let's make sure that she has her audio and stuff on. We're going to try to bring her in. Hey, Dr. Vinya, can you hear me?
Yeah, hi, Michael. Can you all hear me?
Yes, we can hear you and see you. Great. Well, I can anyway, so I guess other people can as well. Great. So we're just getting started. This is going to be kind of interactive, so I'll be stopping in between. Sakshi's supposed to be joining us as well. But I know that you said that relaxing and being relaxed was probably one of the things that helped you the most, right? So say a little bit about that, and then I may ask you some other questions about that as well.
Yes. So exactly, I was a very hyper person. I would really get stuck because I would get so anxious when I used to look at audience or even just thinking about it. I would just get so nervous, and it used to just start off from there, and I could barely even speak. This was probably about a few years ago until I met you. And once I joined Pro 90D, I realized that one of the most important things in the program is to be relaxed, to act relaxed, and to feel relaxed. And for me, this has been one of the keys to unveil or to open up the Pro 90D system. So once I do that, then I don't have to deliberately think about all the other techniques that you teach us. It is just with one key, I unlock the entire program. So it's for me, it's a relaxation. I can say that relaxation is the most important key factor for smooth speech for me.
Very good, very good. So one person here said that when I'm anxious, I stutter a lot, and it's quite embarrassing. So did you find that to be true too, that when you were anxious that you tended to stutter more?
Oh, yes, very, very true. Anxious, nervous, frustrated, all these things makes us not relaxed. And when I used to experience these kind of feelings, which is normal in an everyday life, we do get frustrated, angry, anxious, nervous all the time in different situations. And for me, I used to just really go bad in my speech. I could even barely say a few words. And especially when you're in high pressure situations, you're bound to feel anxious. You are bound to feel nervous. But for us, we had to train ourselves in such a way that we're relaxed. And I realized that this is not a curse, it's actually a boon for us, because it has changed my life in the sense that I'm more relaxed now in any given situation.
Exactly.
Even if the other person is angry and shouting at me, I'm just relaxed and talking to that person. So it actually makes the other person even more angry. But I have become like that. I've become such a relaxed person.
Very good, very good. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to walk through some steps, and there are lots and lots of ways to relax, but I'm going to walk through some steps that I want to recommend. And then we're going to come back to you, and Sakshi's having some network issues, so she's going to try to get those worked out. But we're going to come back to you guys and ask you some of the ways that you've been able to become more relaxed, so you can kind of fill in the gaps here. So yeah, so I'm going to bring you back in just a moment. So hang right there. Let's just talk about, let's see, so can you guys see this entire board here? Dr. Vinya, can you see the entire board? No? Okay, let me move it over some. Okay, now you can see it? Yes, okay, very good, very good. All right, so let's talk about the how. Let's get to some how. And I'm going to give you a very easy way to remember this using this word. Peace. Okay, so you can remember the ways to relax using this word peace. So the first one is present. So that means you want to be in the present. Okay. And I may need to take some of these to another page, but be in the present moment. Now, what do we mean by this? All right. This is very important because remember, Dr. Vigna said that learning to relax was the key. She said was for her, it was the key to unlocking the whole program. So this isn't just something that we're talking about. You say, okay, well, yeah, no, I just really need to know how to say these words. Well, all of these things are important, and this may be the key for you to help you to say those words, to help you to really do all of the other things that we talk about. This may be it, right? And for many people, this is it. So one of the first things is to learn how to be in the present moment. Now, what do we mean by being in the present moment? Well, simply this. There are times where a lot of people are constantly worrying about something. They're thinking ahead, right? So you're in a conversation with them. They're already thinking ahead about what they want to say, what they're going to say, or they're thinking about something else. They're not paying attention, or they're thinking about all kinds of different things except for what's going on right now, or they're worried about something or thinking about something that happened in the past, right? So they're either in the present, planning, think, okay, I'm going to be doing this, I'm going to do that, or, oh yeah, that's right, and I want to say this, and I want to say that, or they're thinking about, man, I don't know why that happened, or, right, so they're thinking about something in the past, and they're not in the present moment. So when you're not living in the present, you're far more likely to be more anxious, more nervous, more hurried, more rushed, under greater stress. When you start living in the present moment, that means sometimes just emptying out your mind. If you're listening to someone, if you're speaking to someone, just empty your mind, sit there, be present, and hear what they're saying. Just listen to what they're saying and trust that you're going to be able to respond appropriately when it's time. Also, it just may mean when you're going through your day, even if you're not in a conversation, you plan your day, you say, okay, I need to do these things, and then you focus your mind 100% on what you're doing right now. Sometimes technology allows us and causes us to be very distracted and to multitask, okay, to multitask. So we're constantly doing multiple things, and often this can cause us to not live in the present. So you're going to find that when you're able to presence yourself, just be there in the moment, do what you're doing, focus on what you're doing, see what's happening around you, listen to the person that's right there, that you start to feel more relaxed. So one of the first things is to presence yourself, to be present, to be in the present moment. And there's lots of resources out there that you can find, YouTube, all over the web, on learning to be in the present moment. Okay, so that's one thing. The second one is very interesting. It is to, what is the word that I want to use here? You want to eliminate 80%. All right. So what do I mean by eliminate 80%? Now, this one too is very, very important. It's the way that I live my life. Some of you may have heard of something called the Pareto Principle. It's the 80-20 rule, right? And essentially what it says is that 80% or more of the value of anything that you do, or the value of anything, is found in around 20% of that population. So, for example, 80% of the value of what you do during the day, 80% of what's important, or most of what's important, will be found in a very few of the activities you do during that day. So let's say you do 10 activities. Well, most of those activities are not of high value, or are of little value at all. You're going to find that the highest value activities that you do will only be found in about 2 of the things that you do during that day. And this kind of distribution can be seen in money, in populations, in the usage of your house, that you're going to use 20% of your house 80% of the time. I mean, it just goes on and on and on. And they found this to be very, very, very true. So what this means for you is that there are a lot of things that you can cut out of your life because they're not adding any value, or they're actually taking away value, causing you to feel more rushed and hurried and distressed and distracted, right? More anxious, less relaxed. So you have to learn how to start saying no to some things, right? You have to learn how to say no. No, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to participate in that. I'm not going to go to this, right? And sometimes you'll have to fight with people. I had to fight with my managers when I used to work many, many years ago, when I used to work full time. I had to fight with my managers so that I could preserve my time to do the most valuable things, right? So you're going to find that if you start eliminating things, and how do you eliminate things? You really just by saying, just say no to a lot of things. If you can cut out a lot of the extraneous activities, time-wasting activities, you're going to find that you have more time to think, more time to relax, more time to plan, more time to do those one or two things that will give you the most value. Now, we can go on and on and on into just this one thing, but we won't. But the key for you is to look at your life, to look at your daily activities, to look at your responsibilities, right? To look at the organizations you're a part of, the conversations that you have, the relationships that you have, the amount of TV that you watch, the things that you look at on your mobile devices or whatever. Look at all those things and ask yourself, what can I cut out? What's the one or two things that I can do today that's actually going to give me the greatest value? So let me just bring Dr. Vinya back in to see if she has any comments on any of these two things so far, being more present and saying no to some things and cutting out some things. Just want to see if she has any thoughts on this. Dr. Vinya, are you there?
Yes.
Okay. So what are your thoughts about learning to be more present and also just saying no to some things? Has that been something that you've done at all? And if so, how did it affect you?
Well, yeah, I think I must say that I have learned to prioritize on things. So, and plan my day or my week. So what I do is I just ask myself, what are the things that me and only me have to do during the day or the week, which will have a high impact on the result. And all the other things I delegate. And fortunately in India, we have enough help around. So that's what I do. I delegate most of my things and do only one or two things that only I have to do. Like probably run the clinic or do so many procedures or all those things. But I know exactly what only I have to give value for. And that actually has helped relax so much more. And it's really helped me in my speech too. So I do that. And also when I'm about to speak to a high pressure audience or a situation. So what I do is I just try to speak to myself and just tell myself to be in the moment and not to just anticipating any blocks or, just thinking about what has happened earlier, and try to give value even in that moment. So basically, I think in short, I have to say, bring value to your speech, as well as learn to prioritize, learn to delegate, and do only that particular thing that you are supposed to do, so that you can bring value to what you're doing, to your speech, and to your day, to your relationships, to everything.
Exactly. So many of you watching are actually fairly young. I found that they have actually a lot of young people, sometimes in 19, less than 19, early 20s. You have time to arrange your life in this way. We'll talk about this in a few minutes, but figure out those one or two things, those one or two skills, talents, whatever it is that you have that you can do easily, or that you love to do, or that you're very good at, that other people say you're very good at. Find those couple of things that you can do very well and arrange your life so that you're doing those things. Now, here's the key. For some of you, speech has been stopping you from doing those things. And that's why you need to work on your speech right now so that you can contribute the greatest amount of value to your community, to your company, to your family, to the world, right? So that you can also be the happiest if you're doing the one or two things that really only you can do at that level, okay? And delegating or just saying no to the other things, or I'll do those things later. The other thing that Dr. Vina said is just, especially when you're speaking, just being in that moment, focusing on the message and how you want to impact the people that you're talking to, the message that you want to get across. Just focus on that in the moment. Don't think about what happened a minute ago or yesterday or last week. Don't think about what they're thinking about you. Just think about that present moment and your job at that time. So thank you, Dr. Vina. We'll be bringing you back in just a few minutes. But thanks a lot for that. So let's take a look at some of these other things, and then we're going to take some questions from you. So this next one is for you to, and this is a big one, act slowly. I know that may sound strange, but I'll explain it. Okay. Just write these down right now. Act slowly. Okay. So one of the things that you will hear people say, I know speech therapists have been saying this for years because I've heard people tell me this. We say it, everyone says, just slow down, slow your speech down, slow down. So you're going to find, and I've found in working with hundreds and hundreds, if not thousands of people, that the one thing that helps people the most is relaxing, right? But along with relaxing and how you relax is learning to slow down, but not just slowing your speech down, slowing your life down, right? Dr. Vina says, hey, I've just become a more relaxed person. What does that look like? What does that mean? Well, in part, it means actually slowing down. How do we slow down? Well, one way is to cut a lot of the activities out, cut things out, just say no. Okay, you can slow down by doing that. If you have a whole lot of things to do, then you're just ripping and erasing throughout your day. The other thing is slowing down, slowing your mind down by just being present. Okay, I got to work on this. Let me do this. You're slowing your mind down. You can slow everything that you do down by acting slower, by just moving slower. Now, I'm not saying there aren't times where you need to move quickly, where you need to say something quickly. But what happens is if everything that you're doing is quick, if you're speaking fast, you're moving fast, you'll find that you just feel like you're out of control. You don't have any control over your speech. You feel like you don't have any control over your life. Because of the law of control, it says that when you and I feel like we don't have any control over areas of our life or over our life, our confidence level goes down. We don't feel as good about ourselves. We don't feel as good about our lives when we feel like we don't have control. Now, the inverse of that is also true, that when you feel like you have control over areas of your life, you feel more confident, you feel better about yourself, you feel better about life. So you can physically slow things down. You can use your hands when you're speaking, right? And you can use your hands in a very smooth, rhythmic, flowing manner, as opposed to moving your hands the way maybe some people speak, really choppy and fast, right? You don't have to do. You can use your hands to kind of orchestrate, I call it orchestrating, orchestrate smoother speech. You can control your hands. You can use your hands, and you can control the speed and the movement of your hands, which can help you slow your speech down, right? All right, so that's one thing you have control over. The second thing you have control over, so let's go back. So the first thing that you have control over is your body, right? You can control your hands. And so second thing is you can control your breathing. You can breathe more. You can breathe deeper, right? You can control your breathing. We have an exercise called the 777 that we teach in the program. So if you don't have the program, make sure that you get a hold of it. I'm just going to pop this up here right now so you can take a look. Get a hold of this course and join our community. We'll talk about that later. So you can control your breathing. What else can you control? Well, believe it or not, you can control your rate of speech. You can slow your speech down. But remember, I said that relaxing, along with slowing down, is a habit. So people say, well, yeah, I've tried to slow down and I just can't do it. So I've told myself to do it. I tried to do it. Maybe I slowed down for a few seconds, then I went back to speaking fast. Well, of course, that's normal. Anything that you're trying to change, that you're used to doing, that you're doing habitually, it's because it has become a pattern, a habit. There is a neural network that's now managing that activity, okay? And in order to change that activity or to replace it with a new activity, you're going to have to consistently, first you have to decide what it is that you want to do. What's the new behavior? I want to slow my speech down so I feel more controlled and more relaxed. Okay, great. Well, you can't just tell yourself to do it once or 10 times or 50 times or 100 times. You have to do it consistently over a period of time. Why? Because you're literally, as we said in the last live stream, you're literally rewiring your brain. You're creating a new neural network or new neural connections, right, that represent and manage slower speech. Now, here's the key. Your brain doesn't want to do it because it literally uses more physical energy for you to think about, for you to actually make yourself speak slower. It requires more energy. Your brain is a very efficient mechanism. It's an efficient organism. And so when you tell yourself, I want to do this, I want to slow down, your brain's going to resist it. It's going to say, no, we don't want to do that. It's going to require more effort and more energy. And we don't want to expend more energy. We want to save energy. We want to be efficient. So you have to understand you're going to experience resistance when you tell yourself to slow down. You're going to forget it in the next moment. So what do? You keep reminding yourself. As soon as you forget and you feel, okay, I'm speaking fast again. Wow, I need to slow down. And you slow down. And you'll keep doing that, right? Until all of a sudden you're able to speak slower longer. You're able to remind yourself more. Now, that's not all. Other things that you'll need to do is be proactive. That means to get out there and actually create. We teach this in the Pro 90D Smooth Speech System. So if you're wondering, well, how do I do this? How do I do it? Get the system, get into the community, and you'll learn. You'll learn how to do it. And you'll have other people who are doing it so that you can see, wow, this really is working. It's actually, and Dr. Vineyard will tell you, well, this is what I had to do, and this is how long it took me. So you're going to, so some other things that you can do to train yourself to slow down is listening to audio. When you're listening to audio and someone's telling you, hey, remember, just take your time. You don't have to rush. You can slow down and so forth and so on. And you hear that, all of a sudden it clicks one day and it's, oh, wait a minute, I just remember hearing, I don't have to rush. I can slow down. And you start telling yourself that. So when you listen to audio and or you watch videos and you tell yourself and you're proactive, you're out there reminding yourself, okay, I'm going to go speak to Charlie over here and I'm going to try to slow my speech down. If you're doing that every single day, all throughout the day, eventually it's going to become a what? A habit, right? But if you think that you can just do it once or twice and it becomes a habit, and then it's not going to work. It's not going to become a habit and you're going to get frustrated and you're going to think, okay, this doesn't work. It does work. Just remember, your brain's going to resist it at first. But if you consistently do it, your brain will accept it. Why? Because it's actually, because of the repetition, it's actually becoming a new neural pattern or a new set of neural connections that represent that new behavior of acting slower, just slowing everything down. So you can control your hand gestures, you can control your breathing, you can control the rate of speech, you can control that, right? And you can control what you say to yourself and what you're thinking. You can control all these things, but they're habits. And so therefore you have to know what the habits are, and then you have to have a strategy for consistently practicing those habits. That's what the Pro90 speech system does, is it gives you a concrete system, like a roadmap. Do this, do this, do this, do this each and every day, and these are the results that you'll get. Okay, so I hope that makes sense. Let's look at this next one. Then we'll just quickly look at these next two, and then we'll have some conversation and wrap it up. So this next one is just to calmly communicate, or communicate calmly, right? So we've kind of talked about that in terms of acting slower. We talked about speech, but communicating more calmly. Now, Dr. Vigna just said, in fact, she recently had a situation where she had to communicate calmly, even though there were people screaming. She was very upset about something, but she was able to communicate calmly. So what I want to do is, I'm just going to bring her in just to share with you, how in the world, in this really high pressure, high stress situation, how was she able to communicate calmly, right? Which allowed her to speak very, very smoothly. So let's just bring her in. Go ahead, Dr. Vigna. Tell us, tell us how you were able to do that.
Yeah. So exactly, that's what I do. What I did was I started speaking to myself, and I just asked myself to relax. Number of times, I just went on telling myself, relax. You don't have to rush. You don't have to rush. You can just listen to the other person completely. Allow the other person to speak completely. And only after that, what I did was I started in a very relaxed tone. And I would like to add a few things to what Michael said about act slowly. The thing is, yes, you will have to not only slow your speech down, you'll have to slow your body movements down, your hands, all those things have to be extremely slow. And what I do is I also slow my voice down. So in the beginning of my speech, when I'm talking and when I'm extremely anxious and nervous, so what I do is I slow my voice too. So I start in a very relaxed kind of a slow tone, and then I slowly increase it. I go up and down. So I've realized and I've seen that actually helps me a lot, because earlier I used to just go high pitch and I used to put so much of energy in the beginning itself, and I used to get stuck. So what I started doing is, along with slowing my movements, my thoughts, my hands, I also slow my voice down. So I start in a very relaxed and slow manner, and I expand my first few words, and then zoom. I go fast, I go up, I go down, I enjoy my speech. So this is what I do, and it's become a habit. I mean, you just do it for about I would say about 8 weeks or so. Just be hard on yourself. Just say you have to do this for the next 8 weeks. And then it automatically becomes a habit. It's become a habit now. But still, I must say that every morning when I wake up, I make sure I do at least 20 minutes of the relaxation exercise. I tell myself, slow down, relax. I'm like a friend to myself. I just talk to myself. So this is what I do. Even though I might not have a shower, I might not eat breakfast, I might just be late for work, but no matter what, I do not skip the Pro90D at least the 20 minutes, because I have seen that if I don't do that, I mean, I do get stuck in my day. So I really, I do this 20 minutes of my Pro90D speech exercise, and then I head off for work. And I feel and I see that those results do need to. So, yeah.
Very good. Thank you. Thank you. So a few things she said, and then we're going to bring Sakshi in. and I'm going to be asking Sakshi, and I hope that you can hear us. Sakshi, can you hear us good? Very good. Okay. We'll be bringing you in and asking you about relaxing, right? And about things that you do to relax just during the day, as well as things that you might do in the moment to relax. We've talked about being present in the moment, just saying no to certain things, acting slowly. Dr. Vinya also gave us a list of other things that she does when she's speaking, is starting slow, starting lower. I found personally many, many years ago, that's why I speak so soft. Now I know how to project my voice now when I need to, but just lowering the pitch or tone of my voice down just a little. And the downside to this is that people had to ask me to speak up. Oh, I can't hear you. Can you speak up? So that's fine. If I'm speaking smoothly and I just need to speak up, I can increase my value. So I just increase my volume a little bit so that they could hear me. But by lowering my volume, I felt more relaxed. By extending my words, a little more, you feel more relaxed. It doesn't mean that you're going to speak super slow the whole time. You speak dynamically, fast and slow, but you learn all of this where? In the Pro-90 speech system. So if you're watching this, you're like, okay, man, this is great. This really does work. Where do I learn it? Listen, you're going to have to invest in yourself. It's not a whole lot of money. I know it can be for some people, but we spend money on certain things. This is something that you're investing. You're not just spending, you're investing in yourself and opening up your opportunities and your abilities to do things in life that will be limited if your speech is limited. So when you join the program, when you enroll in the program, you get all this stuff laid out and you get a community. You get a community of people who can help you, right? So calming down, learning how to communicate more calmly. There are certain things that you can just slowing your speech down, extending and blending your words, slightly lowering your volume. Some people actually have to raise their volume, other people lowering their volume. But it's just this idea of communicating more calmly. And in part, that can mean at least starting slower and then speaking dynamically. Start slow, and then make it more dynamic as you go. Start slow and make it more dynamic, which is a combination of fast and slow as you go. Sakshi, I want to just bring you in and just give us your thoughts on the importance to you of relaxing, of being relaxed, and some things that you do or have done to be relaxed. So let's bring you in. All right. So can you hear us, and can we hear you?
Yes, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes, very good.
Great. Thank you so much for having me join today, and hi to all joining this webinar. So some of the things that I do to be relaxed is, one is I make it a habit to meditate every day. That really helps me stay relaxed. And I prepare myself for the day like that to remain relaxed. And I also tell myself during the day at different points of time, when I'm talking, I can take my time, I can go slow. So self-talk is something that really helps me stay relaxed. And yeah, when I joined the program, I had access to a lot of audio and video, and I used to listen that, and that used to reaffirm the fact that I can be relaxed while I'm talking. So definitely, these were the things that I used to do, and I still do, to help me stay relaxed.
Very good. Very good. Thank you. So basically, Sakshi has kind of reinforced. I mean, she just described pretty much what she does. Dr. Vinya described what she does and what she's done. And we're describing some things that you can do. We just made this little acronym or acrostic so that you can remember some of these things. We said we're going to give you 5 things. Here they are. Let's move down to this last one, which is enjoy. So what do we mean by this? you want to arrange your life. We've kind of talked about this. All these things reinforce one another, okay? You want to arrange your life so that you're enjoying it more, right? You don't want to be working at a job the rest of your life that you hate. You're going to feel more anxious, right? You don't want to be in relationships that cause you stress all the time, right? You don't want to be in an environment, living in a place that's stressful all the time if you don't have to. So what you want to do is begin, especially well, actually for everyone, it doesn't matter if you're old or young, but especially if you're young, you want to do this so that you can receive maximum enjoyment for the maximum amount of time. You want to begin to look at your life, look at your relationships, look at your career, right? Which is going to have a big impact. Look at your career, look at where you live, look at your health, look at your finances, and figure out what things do I need to cut out, do I need to eliminate that's not adding value and that I can't add value to? What things do I need to eliminate? How can I change or rearrange my life so that I'm enjoying it more? You want to do something. If you're going to be working every day, you want to do something that you love to do, that you enjoy. When you enjoy it, guess how you're going to feel? If you enjoy what you're doing, you're going to feel more relaxed. You're going to feel calmer, right? Even when things are stressful, you're still going to feel a lot more relaxed if you're enjoying what you're doing, okay? So let's review these things, then we'll answer some questions. Number one, learn to be more present while you're speaking as well as when you're not speaking, when you're just going through your day. Learn to live more in the present moment. You're going to find as soon as you, in fact, some of you right now, your mind is going ahead to what you have to do, or you're thinking about something that happened in the past, right? So sometimes it's challenging for us to just be present and just soak in what's going on. So learn to be more present. 80-20 rule is a very, very powerful tool. I live by this rule. You want to look for the couple of things that only you can do, the couple of things that you need to do right now first as a priority that's going to have the biggest impact. It's going to give you the greatest value in your day, in your life. What are the one or two things that I can do very well or that I can develop to do so that and things that I enjoy doing where I can contribute the most value? So I had to look at my own life and say, what are things you do very well, that you do easily, that you do better than a lot of people? And what of those things can contribute the most value to the world, right? And then how can you arrange your life, your career, so that you can do basically just those two things and delegate or eliminate everything else? If you live by this philosophy, you're going to find that you are a lot more relaxed, you're a lot more calm, and that you're enjoying life, and your speech is actually going to get better. You're going to feel more in control of your life, so you're going to feel more confident, you're going to feel much happier, much more fulfilled, and obviously your speech is going to be a lot better, right? So remember this, and we can go into that deeper in another session. Understand there's some things that you physically have control over. You can learn to just slow everything. Some people walk real fast and they move real fast and just everything is really fast, right? So you just have to learn to slow everything. That you slow your hand gestures down. You can just walk a little slower. You can move a little slower. You can pause, right? Pausing. You can learn all these things in the Pro 90D speech system, all right? So acting slowly, communicating more calmly, right? So one of the things that Dr. Vigna talked about was just starting slower, starting a little lower, and then building up as you know, not building up so that you're speaking super fast and you lose control, but speaking dynamically. So learning to communicate more calmly. It is something that you can do. And then arranging your life so that you enjoy it. And remember, it's not just something you can snap your fingers and do, but it is something that you can plan to do and incrementally begin to arrange your life so that you enjoy your relationships, you enjoy where you're living, you enjoy your career. You're going to feel more relaxed. When you feel more relaxed, you feel more confident, you're able to speak better. All of these things are habits. And so remember, your brain's going to resist it. And so you're going to have a process, a systematic process whereby you are creating these new neural patterns, these new neural connections, and building these new habits, the habit of being relaxed. Okay, so I'm going to see if I can bring in all of our panelists. Let me see if we can do this. Yes, great. We got everybody in here. Okay, so, oh, okay. Kathy said that the link is not working. So while I'm trying to look at this link here, Dr. Vinya and Sakshi, what can you share with our audience, just as we wrap things up? What can you share with them, just in terms of a couple of pieces of advice? If you could figure out one or two things that you want to share about relaxing, about being relaxed, both in your everyday life and in the moment, or even just before the moment where you have to speak. Could be making a phone call, ordering coffee, in a meeting, a virtual meeting, presentation. What are some things that you can share? And these can be things that you've already shared, but just summarize it for us. Let's go with Sakshi first.
Hi. So some of the things that I do in the moment are I pause and I just tell myself that I can go slow, just like Dr. Vindhya also shared. Just, going slow. That's something that I do to relax. And yeah, taking my time. These are two things that I do. And also the third is telling myself that it's okay for me to take time.
Okay, so let's repeat those. Let's go over those again. You said that the two things you do. Well, okay, so the first thing that you do is what?
I pause and take my time.
Mm-hmm.
And the second thing is I go slow, start slow. And the third thing is I tell myself that it's okay for me to take time.
Okay, that it's okay for you to take your time.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. Very good. Dr. Vinya, what are a couple of things that you do or that you can share? Hello, Dr. Vinya, are you there? I think maybe her video's stuck. Okay. So until she gets back, I think she might be back. Hello, Dr. Vinya, are you there? All right. We'll give her a moment to get back into it. What questions do you guys have? I'm trying to get this link fixed for you. Sorry about that, Kathy. Okay, Dr. Vinya.
I think we have a question from Pooja.
Okay. Yeah, go ahead.
She says, what should I do when I'm on a bad day in terms of speech? And what should I say to myself on those days?
Okay. Let me have Dr. Vinya, is your audio back on? Hello, Dr. Vinya, can you hear us? Maybe she's still working. Sakshi, go ahead and answer that.
Okay, so on days, so even I have some days when I feel a little bad about the way I spoke. So I just tell myself that tomorrow will be a new day, and I have had times when I've spoken smoothly, so it's not entirely impossible for me to do that again. And I just remind myself of the positive times and the success stories of me speaking well. And I may just watch a previous video of mine in which I spoke well. So basically, I look at the bright side and I kind of let it go. I kind of try to forget that I spoke badly.
Okay. Okay. Very good. Very good. Very good. Let's see. Any other questions? Hopefully that answered your question, Pooja. Any other questions about slowing down? About slowing down? Okay. Any other questions? All right. If there's no other questions, we're going to go ahead and wrap up. I'm going to be posting the link. Yeah, the link is broken, unfortunately. I think I was working on it yesterday. Dr. Vinya, can you hear us? Do you have your audio working now? Because I don't think your audio is working. Let's see, I don't think she can hear us, right? Let's see. Doctor, very poor connection. It's breaking. Okay, so she's having some issues with it. All right, here's another question. I'm part of Pronity Self-Study, actually, like a speaker from India, and wanted to model him as well. Want to know if it's okay to take it along with modeling you, or take it on.
Yes.
Okay, so you can hear now? All right. All right, so we'll come back.
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay. So Sakshi, I'm gonna hand that over to you. What do you think? So it's an Indian guy. He wants to model an Indian guy, and he's asking, do I just have to model you, Michael, or can I model someone else? What do you think about that?
I think it's perfectly fine to model more than one person. It'll be best to model Michael because he's the one who has really shown how Pro90D works, and all the techniques and all the things that we try to focus on. Michael already does those things, so it's easiest to to model him. Sorry, and we can also model some other person who may use the same techniques as him. So if you're in the program, you know what I'm talking about, different things like airflow linking and stuff. So if you see someone else doing the same things, you can model them as well. It's just that you have to be very careful when you're choosing the other model. It shouldn't be a person who's just talking very fast, and you don't want to do that. So please be careful when you're picking your second model, but I think you should try modeling Michael first.
Yes, very, very good. Very good. I would absolutely agree with that 100%, that you can model someone else. You can have a second model, or you can, that person can be your first model. What happened with me is that I had someone, it's my first client who was an Indian client. And just to let you guys know, I was able to get that link working again. So if we really do want to encourage you to join the program, join the community. That's the power. The power is you can get information, but you can't get the community. So the link is now working. But to answer this question, when you select a model, you want to make sure that if you tend to speak fast and you tend to be anxious, you want to select a model who's calmer, who speaks a bit slower, right? To help to pull you in the other direction. You want to select a model who's able to articulate well and uses body language. There's people out there that obviously do this way better than I do, so it's perfectly fine to select them. But I would say one of the keys is to select someone who doesn't speak super duper fast and is a real kind of anxious speaker. That's just not going to be helpful for you right now. Okay, maybe in the future that might be okay. But even though you love the way they speak, they're a great communicator, but it's not going to be that helpful for you to model someone who's speaking real fast with super high energy. Okay, so for sure, you can have me as a model and someone else as a model as well, or they can be your primary model, as long as they are displaying and using the proactive speaking skills that you have access to in the self-study. Those are the skills that excellent people, that excellent speakers use. Okay, great question. Let's go ahead and let me see. How did we get, where was that question? Yeah, there it was. Okay, I'm going to hide that question. We have another question. What to do at pressure situations? I see I'm fluent when talking to my peers. All right, Dr. Vinya, I'm going to see if I can bring you back in here. Okay, so you can hear us, Dr. Vinya?
Yes.
Yes. All right. So here's a question for you. This person says, hey, what do I do in a high pressure speaking situation. When I'm talking with my peers, I tend to be pretty fluent, but if it's high pressure, whatever that is for that person, then that's when I tend to get stuck. So give that person some advice.
Well, what I started doing is I started challenging myself with high pressure situations, because only if you practice this will you overcome it. So what I started doing is I started giving myself a little low pressure, yet high pressure, but it's not so high pressure immediately. So I started doing that, and I started speaking to small groups, audiences, creating a speaking opportunity, and using all the proactive speaking style and skills. And then slowly from there, I graduated. I went on to a little more high pressure situation. So I started doing that repeatedly, like every single day. Just challenge yourself. And I think you will be there soon.
Very good. These challenging yourself on a daily basis, there's 5 habits that we've laid out that represent success in Pro 90D. That is success in helping you become an excellent speaker, to speak smoothly, clearly, confidently, to be more relaxed. There's 5 habits. I haven't gone over those habits today, but you'll learn those habits inside the Pro 90D speech system. And one of those habits is challenging yourself, right? So you literally, you learn, you practice in no to low pressure, but then you take what you're learning, just like learning a new language, you have to get out there and actually speak to real people. You take what you learn and you get out there and you challenge yourself in medium pressure and higher pressure speaking situations. And the more you do it, your body, you're actually able to do what we call desensitization. You desensitize yourself to that pressure, and you learn how to handle it. You learn how to think more clearly and act more smoothly and confidently in high pressure, but only if you challenge yourself to do it. If you run away from it, it gets worse. Excellent answer. Thank you. So let's get to another one here. All right, here's one we got. So what should we do when the words don't come out at the right time, even after slowing down or pausing? Sakshi, let's hand that one over to you. So, boom, you slow down. So, okay, well, Michael said just slow down and pause, but the words still don't come out. And and both of you can jump in on this, but remember, Sakshi, you and I talked about this, and so I just want to see what you're going to say, but slowing down and pausing is just one thing. It's one thing.
Mm-hmm.
So this person saying, hey, if I do this, but the words still don't come out, what do you say? How do you respond to that?
Yeah, that's a very tricky question. I think I would just like go into the modeling zone. Yeah, personally, that's what I would do. I don't know about Dr. Windya. What do you have to say?
Well, I think this is a very good question. Mm-hmm. And I think the way I address this question or this situation, because I do experience so many of similar situations, because when I'm extremely anxious or stressed and I pause, I slow down everything, but yet the words don't come out. So what I do is I just go around that word, like probably I use a different word. And then like Michael has it in his program, it's called introductory words. So sometimes I do that. I use some introductory word or another word, and then I speak that and then slowly arrive at this difficult word or this difficult sentence. So I just go around it and I reach there. So I do that.
All right, good. Great. So I want to talk about that strategy and why that's important. And then we'll talk about what Sakshi said in terms of going into the modeling zone. And let's expand on that. So slowing down, pausing or whatever is one thing. But to transform your speech, it's a holistic process for, I'd say, the vast majority of people out there. Meaning, you have to transform your mindset, your speaking identity, as well as the mechanics, the way you physically speak. So if you're just focused on techniques, which slowing down is a technique and it's a good one, that is not going to necessarily work all the time. So it's a mindset and a speaking identity issue that one has to change along with the way they speak. There are tools that you can use using introductory words, airflow linking, blending your words, remembering to maintain a flow. And maintaining a flow means, hey, this word is not coming out. I'm not going to force it out. Let me say this instead, or let me link this word. Let me add an introductory word and then come back to it again to maintain the flow. Now, we don't teach you and we don't want you to do that all the time. That's not your way of speaking, but it is a tool that you can pull out to maintain your flow, right? To maintain your flow. So if this word isn't going to come out, then I may add an introductory word or say this word and then come back to it. That's perfectly fine if I only do that occasionally, because all the other times I'm working on my speech. I'm going through this process. I'm modeling, I'm practicing. So the times that happens will be few and far between, but it will be a tool that you can pull out and use. When Sakshi talked about modeling, that is what helps you transform your mindset and your speaking identity. What's speaking identity? It's who you believe yourself to be as a speaker. Who do I believe myself to be as a speaker? So modeling helps you transform that. Believe it or not, that's the thing that will help you say those words that you want to say when you need to say it. It's not just the technique. It's not just slowing down or breathing or extending, right? So that's why Pro 90D helps you transform your mindset, speaking identity, and your style of speaking, okay? So I hope that answered your question. We'll take just a few more questions and then we'll wrap up because we're at 1:02 now. Dr. Vinya, if at any point you need to hop off, please feel free because I know it's getting late, but we'll just answer a couple more questions. Let me just look through here and see. Who was worried about my speech? Calm myself down during the speaking exam. Okay, we'll take a look at that. I'm going to do when suddenly become anxious while trying to speak to an audience. When we get stuck, is it okay to change a word? All right, let's just go. I'm going to come back to one, but this is one that we just addressed. When you get stuck on a word, is it okay to change the word or should we force it out? So no, you absolutely should not force the word out. And temporarily, if you need to change the word, as we just said, that's okay, but you don't want that to be your primary strategy for speaking fluently, changing words, right? So that's why you want to go through a process, a systematic process, so that you can say what you want to say. You can say the words that you want to say, and that only occasionally, if you need to change the word, do you do that? Do you use that as a strategy? So I hope that answers your question. So for some people in the short term, they're just changing words. But remember, it's a process. You're changing your brain, right? You're creating a new speaking style. You got to enter into that process or you're going to be technique driven the rest of your life, changing words, doing this trick, using that technique. And that's just not a way to live. It's not a way to speak well, right? But you can use that as a short-term temporary tool. So I hope that answered that question. And we're going to take like one more question. And this one here can also kind of address the other one. So you have an exam coming up in a couple of weeks, worried about your speech. How can you calm yourself down? This is also related to another question that says, hey, I'm speaking to an audience and I get very, very anxious. So let's try to knock those two questions out. Dr. Vinya, I want to bring you back and have both of you address this. So Sakshi, let's start with you. Person has an exam coming up. They only have a couple of weeks now. Now, I don't know what they've been doing up to this point, but they only have a couple of weeks. Excuse me, what advice would you give them? And then Dr. Vinya, same thing. What advice would you give them? So Sakshi, go ahead.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, thanks for asking this question. I've also taken the IELTS exam last year, so I know how it feels to go into this one. And yeah, you're just put on the spot and you're supposed to answer in a particular way. So to calm yourself down, I think, yeah, like all the things that we spoke about today, relaxing, being present, talking slowly, I think just if the recording of this webinar will be there, like I would encourage you to watch it again and just do these things that we spoke about today. That will really help you, I think.
Absolutely. Okay, Dr. Vinya.
Yeah, I think my advice to him would be, because he hasn't been a student of Pro90D, he wouldn't know the techniques as such. But I would like to just tell him to start slowing down over the next maybe 15 days. Just slow down on everything, your thoughts, your actions, your movements, and just talk to yourself in a very kind way. And just, just tell yourself to slow down, to be relaxed, to, to just enjoy your speech. And I think I would just advise him to speak to himself and to slow himself down.
Very good. Very good. Yeah, I would reiterate and affirm those same things. Self-talk is very, very important. Self-talk is a habit, right? It's a habit, learning to control what you're thinking, what you're saying to yourself. So encouraging yourself, telling yourself to just relax and so forth. Again, all of these things we actually give you. So what do I say to myself? We give these things to you in the Pro90D speech system. So self-talk. Also, challenging yourself to slow down over the next couple of weeks. Get out there, have conversations, remind yourself to slow down. Slowing down can help you gain more control and be more relaxed. It's a habit, right? It's something that you have to develop. The other thing I'm going to add, and I would say modeling, but that's not something that you're going to probably be able to do in a couple of weeks, although you could, is to visualize yourself. Spend just a few minutes each day visualizing or picturing yourself in that exam, speaking well, being relaxed, seeing them nod, smiling, you're relaxed, you're doing a really good job. So picture yourself. The power of imagining or visioning is incredible. And based on various studies, they've shown that if you spend a certain amount of time picturing or visualizing yourself doing something, it is almost the same as you're physically doing it. Almost the same. It's not a huge difference. There is a difference, but it's not. So spend some time visualizing yourself speaking smoothly. Talk to yourself, and then challenge yourself to slow everything down. Now, this is not the perfect formula, but if you have 2 weeks, this can certainly make it better for you. The thing you don't want to do is you don't want to kind of visualize in the negative. That means worrying about that thing coming up, picturing yourself getting stuck, blocking, stuttering, having a terrible, if you do that, that's what's going to happen, right? So even if it does happen, it's better for you to picture yourself speaking well, to tell yourself you're going to speak well, and to practice slowing down. And then if it still happens, okay, you did your best. But guess what? You're probably going to do a lot better if you do what we're saying than if you just allow your thoughts to run rampant and just worry about it. That's going to make the whole thing worse. Okay, great questions. We're wrapping it up right now. Thank you, Dr. Vinya and Sakshi. We want to encourage you guys, if you want to take your speech to the next level, you want to transform your speech, join our community, get the Pro90D Smooth Speech System. For those of you who are watching who want to accelerate your progress, you're going to want to work with us one-on-one. That's the fastest way. And we'll provide a link for you to do that in the description of this live stream. So thank you guys so much. Thanks, Sakshi, for being here. Dr. Vinya's stepped out already. We'll see you guys next time. The replay, of course, will be there, so do watch it. We'll see you next time. Thanks, Sakshi.
Thank you. Thank you all for attending. Thank you, Michael.
Thank you.